Good evening.
To everybody else.
I appreciate all of you coming to this Thursday, April 17th Planning Board meeting here in Beekman, New York. You'll notice that there's an emergency exit here behind us, another one to your left, and there's a third one towards the back of the hallway, if needed. If you all stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And please remain standing for a moment of silence for our first responders and service personnel, past and present.
Including the sheriff's office.
Yes.
Amen. Thank you. And if you'll have a seat.
And the first responders, our Beekman firemen.
So the first item is the reading of the minutes, the approval of the minutes. The only one that we can address right now is December 2024.
Oh, good.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes for December 2024?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. This evening, the first item on the agenda is a public hearing for Duchess Contracting Corporation, a subdivision site plan and special use on Bischoff Lane. The applicant has requested an adjournment until the June 15th, 2025 meeting. May 15th, 2025 meeting. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The next item on the agenda is Green Hill Farm subdivision, also for public hearing. This is located on Hines Road and Beach Road. Good afternoon, sir.
How do you do? My name is Ernie Martin. I'm a professional engineer and land surveyor. I'm the project engineer on this project. My colleague, John Tamburino, who's the project surveyor, could not be here this evening. I represent Green Hill Farm Holding LLC, the owners of a 21-acre property located at the southeast corner of Beach Road and Hines Road. And it's the intent of this application to subdivide said parcel into 7 lots. 2 of the lots will incorporate the 2 existing houses that are on the property. If you look, there's the existing main house right in this area, and then there's a small house in front of that. They will be 2 separate parcels. The larger parcel being with the main house of about 9 acres, and the rest of the parcels vary in size down to about 1.2 acres. The zoning of the property is R45, which is just a little over an acre minimum requirement. The site is characterized as being open and rolling fields. There are wetlands down in the bottom part of the property. You can't really see it there. You can see it here. Those wetlands were delineated by a wetland biologist, and then they were field verified by the New York State DEC. We have a map that they signed off on, which is on file with the town planning board. The existing homes, as well as the proposed lots, will all be served by, well, currently the 2 existing houses are served by an individual subsurface sewage disposal system and individual wells. The new lots will also be served by septic systems and wells. We have done soil exploration on the site in the presence of the health department, and with the exception of lot number 2, which is down in this area over here, the soils were all of a gravelly nature. All the systems, with the exception of lot number 2, are in the ground systems. Lot 2 is a fill system. One thing I want to bring to the attention of the board, in the past we represented a conifer grove that's on Beach Road, and which in fact is there. However, on the northerly side of that conifer grove, there's about 4 or 5 trees that have died, and there's a lot of brush that's kind of taken over. In my meeting with the highway superintendent, he asked if that brush and those dead trees could be removed to prevent any encroachment either on the overhead wires or up against the road. I talked to my client about that. He is willing to do that, and it's so noted on the plans. So I'm willing to answer any questions from either the board or the public.
I couldn't find where this right away is, where the lot is.
Conifer. All right. So, Dan, would you like to make any comments before we open? to the
No, I don't
public?
think so. I think we just go right to the public hearing.
Okay.
Right, so
All right. So, in a minute, I'm going to motion to open the public hearing up to the public. What you'll do is take the stand and say your name and your address, if you'd like to, your address. We're going to try to confine the minutes that you speak to about Tori. If you have more to say, right, and without going in different tangents and so on and so forth, I'll permit you to continue to talk. I want to make sure everybody in the room has an opportunity to speak. That's the only reason. And we'll be taking notes and we'll address your comments after everybody has had an opportunity to speak. All right? So it's a hearing. We're here to hear you. We will be listening to all of your concerns regarding this, taking notes, and then addressing them, all right, when the time comes that everybody has already finished speaking, all right? So with that said, yes,
could we ask them to mark both sides of the driveway entrance on Beach Road to Lot 2, please?
okay. Thank you, Peter. Any other?
In other words, on the site.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm talking
With
about-
rebar and ribbon, right? Yeah,
Yeah. And
Maybe just a wooden stake or
or
something.
wooden stakes, yeah. Yeah. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, are we talking property corners or the driveway?
I'm sorry?
Are you talking driveways or property corners?
Okay, it's, mark the property lines. Figuring the driveway will be in between.
Yeah, I believe it's in the code that before the map is signed, that the property corners have to be staked in the field.
He would like you
Well,
to...
but I want to see them now, as we're discussing this,
Before,
before the board also.
Just lot 2, Peter?
Lot number 2.
Just lot 2?
Yeah, that's that long leg that goes back behind, 3 existing lots?
Maybe just the center line? Would that give you enough information, Peter, or is that?
No, I'd like the boundary at the road.
The 2 property corners, those are existing property corners, so. And then also, the driveway center line or something, is that what you're
Well,
asking?
we're talking on Beach Road, right?
Yeah.
Actually, I just looked at the map. Both of those corners currently have steel pins.
Probably.
So what I could do is, or I'll have the surveyor flag them up so they're very clear, and then I can also put a stake in where the driveway's going to be.
Or, you know, just a flag to denote where they are, because I drove by looking for it, and I couldn't find it.
There's no other wetlands other than this room on this property? No.
So you're gonna make existing, so on lot 7 is where the existing house is?
But he doesn't even
Yeah.
show it.
Okay, and then,
Got it, thank you.
lot 1 is,
Lot 1 is the big house.
yeah, it's Gabriel's old house.
So the small house,
Right,
this
there's,
will be a lot right here, that'll be a separate lot, and then this will be one large lot.
okay, so you're breaking up the driveway and putting a couple of trees to denote the 2 separate lots.
Right
Right.
now, so there's none.
Right.
One's driving over the other, we're gonna cut the pavement, 20 feet of it, we're gonna plant 2 trees on the property.
Yep, understood.
All right, any other board member have anything else to bring up before we open the public hearing?
Yeah, I do. Your initial statement about the limits of dead trees, have you, we may have, I don't know if we did this or not, did we waive your having to show trees because you weren't removing any trees? I don't know if we did we end up waiving that because
No, I don't remember
there were no
seeing
tree
a lot of trees
removals?
on the property.
No, what we did is, regarding that area where the conifers are, we located the edge of those, where those conifer trees are, which is denoted on the plan, but then towards the beach road side, there's about, I think, 4 dead conifers, and then there's a lot of underbrush. So when I met with the highway superintendent, he said, "You think your client would be agreed to remove that because they're dead?" And I talked to him, and he is, so we've so noted on the plan.
Now, how many living trees that are on the property?
12, 13.
Yeah,
No, there's probably, I would say close to 50.
oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because I don't remember when I was there, yeah, but I didn't know the exact,
And I think our first meeting, what we spoke about, since there were so many trees in there, and it was kind of a thick grove, locate the edge of it, and we were never planning to take any of those down.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
right, that's right, all right.
You know where they are, right?
Yeah, that's.
There are
that's-
2
that's what-
trees.
That's what was discussed. Show the
I think
tree
there are
line
2
and
trees
then-
outside the conifers. Now, I think they're maybe an apple tree, but I think they've seen better days, but we show those on the plan as being removed.
So, the ones in that area that the highway superintendent is concerned with, you're saying they're already dead?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And are there any alive in that area?
No.
No, okay. All right.
I mean, I'm looking on the Google aerial and I see a lot of, looks like live trees in that conifer grove. I don't doubt there might be some dead ones, but are they all dead, you're saying?
No. If you look at the northerly side of the conifer grove, I think that, you guys slide that
Yeah.
down just a little bit. Okay. If you look right in here,
Yeah,
if you look, and you look at the last plan we submitted, we kind of show 2 limits. One being what's alive and staying in place, and then those that are dead and being removed.
You see that?
so there's 2 polygons of 2 groves.
This is the dead. and then
That whole grove is dead and then the other one
This
is...
one's all alive, okay.
And then some of the individual trees were actually shown near the driveway for Lot 3.
That I remember.
Yeah.
That he was showing as being removed. Okay.
Did we discuss the planting of any trees on the property?
We have not discussed that, no.
Okay.
The grove of trees, Rob, predominantly, I think they're spruce, right, Fay?
Yeah, I
I
would
think
say.
so.
say.
And they're set back off the road quite a bit.
The ones that are alive.
Right?
Yeah, about
Ones that
50
are
to
alive,
60
yeah.
feet.
The grove.
All right, so I mean, I'd like for you to protect the ones that are alive and make sure that,
We're not planning to take any of those down.
of course, we never plan to, but when we get the contractor involved and he's so close to the live trees that they make decisions, especially if it's unclear or ambiguous on the drawings. So if you could make, my comment would be to make it more clear on the drawings to what extent are the dead trees and you're removing, and to what extent are the live trees that we're intending on saving and showing tree protective fencing to protect the live ones.
Yeah, maybe if and when that gets developed for a house, maybe we can specify an orange construction fence around that area. Be like a barrier, and that could be part of the plot plan when that's presented to the building department.
Yeah, we can't
You
get that
gotta
on
get it
the,
on the map, though.
we can't get it on the subdivision plat?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
but this way, I think when it's checked, they'll say, oh, you had to put that on, and we'll show it.
yeah,
Yes, we will show it.
okay,
Good.
thank you.
Which is similar to what we were doing on Lot 2 to protect the 50-foot buffer along the stream. There's already orange construction fence proposed for that, so it's a similar concept, so.
Yeah. I don't have any more comments for now.
I'm good, thank you.
All right. Pete, anything else? Before we open up the public hearing?
Okay, maybe, all right, so Highway did not suggest taking down any of the live trees, just
Oh,
dead
no,
trees.
not at all. And that's
for-
why we show 2 layers on the plan.
And that's for lot number 3?
Yes. And it also
3 and
affects
4.
Lot 4, too.
Yeah. All right. That's easy enough. Rob, you moved to open the public hearing, right?
No, nobody has yet.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Okay. May I have a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
For the record, Aletha's checked the affidavit and the certified mailings and verified that they were accurate.
Very good. Who would like to approach the podium? Okay. For once, Mr. Crane, the gentleman behind you was first. I'm sorry, all right?
Good evening. My name's Anthony Giorgio. I live at 274 Beach Road, which is going to be right across the street from this development. I lived in this house for just about going on 10 years now. Been a Beekman Poquay resident my whole life, and I'm 33 years old. I got 2 major concerns, is the environment impact on this and the overall safety of my community. As far as the increase in volume of traffic, you're gonna have these houses here now. Most people are a family of 4. It's just the long-term game of it. You know, an extra 10 cars, 30 cars now over this whole stretch. And I have younger children, most of what people in the neighborhood do. And you're pretty much ripping up that whole field that's been out there, and where does the wildlife go? As a conservationist myself, you're pushing from the mole to the rabbit that's in that dead brush, the deer, everything, even the predators, towards our communities, our backyards, bears. I had a bear in my backyard the other day. So, I think what we're doing here is, you're destroying our community as it is. Look what Toll Brothers did over there by Phillips Road. That was a beautiful stretch, parcel of woods. I used to walk down that to fish the stream when I was a kid. Now, it's nothing but Toll Brothers and other developments behind Benton Moore Road. It completely ruined that community. Increasing traffic and just people everywhere now. We live in a small town, let's keep it small. If you want to live in White Plains, live in White Plains, but not here in Polk Lake. So,
What was your name again, sir?
Anthony.
Anthony. I'm John.
Yeah, I'm not a public speaker or anything, I'm just
No, you know
stating
what?
my case here.
We're just going to have a quick conversation.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of people don't understand what we do here. Prior to coming to this point, an applicant submits an application at the town hall. Sometimes they own the property, sometimes they don't. They could be prospective buyers, whatever the case may be, but there's a vetting process that happens there that legally allows them to proceed if they own it, and this area is zoned for this subdivision. Our job here is to protect you, the applicant, while making sure all the rules, regulations, and laws are followed by the applicant for your health, safety, and welfare. That's what we're here to do. The reason I'm telling you this is what would be best to have happen now. I mean, you voiced your concerns, and but our ability to, arbitrarily, prevent somebody who owns a piece of property to do this is not, it's just not, it's not what our Constitution or bylaws of our town permit.
John,
They own the property. Yes, sir.
may I add that you're talking about zoning, and if you have a concern, as you do, personally, I have concerns also, the growth of the town, but the time to speak up about that is when the town puts together the comprehensive plan for the town. And I believe that they're in the process now. I have no idea where it's at, but putting together a comprehensive plan.
So just to answer your question, where it's at is our supervisor, Mary Cavucci, has appointed a committee, and our intention is to meet an hour before this meeting to review our comprehensive plan. What Peter is saying is that areas of our town years ago were zoned that allow for certain things to happen, whether it be town center, commercial, residential, or industrial, right? Am I missing anything?
Commercial.
Yes, commercial, industrial,
And
residential.
then they looked at the tobacco, the land and decided 3 acres is appropriate here, 1 acre is appropriate there. Perhaps the hamlets were established, which allows for more density. So that was the purpose of the comprehensive plan, and then the town code reflects that. And you will have an opportunity to review the plan and make comments, because it'll be a public participation. And actually, you were probably still in high school, but I was on the comprehensive plan 30 years ago, and or maybe 20 years, I don't remember, but a while ago.
You were out of high school?
Yeah, and there was
Yeah, I
like,
was too. We were both just out of high school.
there were 50 people here participating, and it was very interesting, because we had a consultant, we hired, somebody to facilitate, and this is where our plans for the town came from you people. You were in probably, I don't know where, but.
I wasn't paying taxes at that point, probably.
It was wonderful. The community came out, and one of the things that they said very strongly is, we want a sense of center. We want a village. We want to feel that we can gather someplace. And that's where the town center evolved, was to have some high-density housing, some retail, coffee shops, that kind of thing, to bring the community together. And it was not done out of just a small board deciding, the whole community. I mean, it was meeting, I must have gone to probably 10 or 15 meetings, and it was excellent. So,
We're lucky enough to have Mrs. Garrido on our board. She's our legislator, representative for our district here in the county.
Yeah, because usually, I mean, this is something it's directly affecting me.
Yeah.
I understand.
Everyone sitting here.
So let me give you
So-
some ideas here, all right? What we were hoping, and often people don't do this, is to foil documents that are affected in the area. You get the notice, and the first reaction should be to get copies of the plans and the notes, before you come here, and you look at them carefully. We want to hear things that can improve this project from your perspective, right? If it wasn't appropriate to happen at this point, it would have been, prevented from coming this far.
Well, I wasn't privy to any information beforehand.
Yeah.
So, I get a notice in the mail, it's concerning me. So I'm looking at that lot over there on the corner.
Let's
And
talk about that. Tell
Okay,
me.
so if you look over there on Beach Road,
On Beach Road,
okay, I'm number 274.
you're number 274.
Yes.
You want to
so
go to the screen?
If someone,
Go ahead.
if you can point out where my house is on
Thank
there.
you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Let me see it.
Yeah, we do. I was hoping that education allows us to get down to brass tacks. No,
They want to come and talk, and they have to come to the town.
yeah,
So I don't know if you can point to where.
I'm done talking, so it's all.
And I'm not saying that, I'm just
I mean
saying, let them say,
You take her
it's his interest. No,
No, I mean, do what you do.
My house is up this way, so my driveway comes down. So I'm right here.
Shouldn't this be a branch path?
yes, yeah.
Just someplace.
I think, excuse me, I'm going to have to insist we move on, I appreciate.
They are.
If there's
Robert's
anything.
pointing out.
So
wants to
what, we
point
can't
out.
hear what you're saying to
Well,
each
I'm
other?
sorry, I was just
No.
looking at the adjacent, trying to find my house on the map there, which is right there, which is across the street.
Okay,
Okay, which is directly, my driveway would be looking right at the other person's driveway.
perfect.
So, like I said, I'm just trying to, I'm sort of voicing my opinion here, I couldn't
So
let
lot-
this just go by, but.
Lot 6 and 5, right?
What's that?
Lot 6 and 5.
That's
You're
the
looking
corner
at.
there, and
got
on the corner of Beach Road and Hines Road, and the adjacent one there.
Okay.
But that first lot right there is right where my driveway is gonna be.
All right,
Okay, thank you.
very good, I
All right.
appreciate that. Yep.
Grants path?
Is there someone else from the community who would like to approach the podium? Mr. Crane, please.
You just give him the microphone. You should just take the mic over for him.
Bill Crane, 254 Gardner Hollow Road. The comprehensive plan's main goal is to preserve the rural character of our town. Hines Road is kind of a little treasure in ruralness. It's got a dirt road, it's off to itself. When you go over there, you feel you're a century in the past. I think it's a shame to start development there. The question I have is, is it going to put a lot of pavement in there, or is it going to preserve permeable surfaces? Is there going to be pressure to pave that dirt road? I appreciate that the applicant is not cutting down too many trees. the choice of live trees versus dead trees needs to be re-examined. I guess this isn't the time to do it because it's already in your zoning, but there's new thinking on dead trees. Dead trees preserve, the previous speaker talked about the wildlife. The dead trees, in nature, dead trees serve a function. They are not, they're homes for a whole lot of wildlife, insects and the smaller wildlife, including birds and other animals, can't live without them. We often hear the woodpeckers pounding away, but there's a whole world of organisms that depend on the dead trees. And the birds, all the birds we love, the songbirds and the pretty birds, they're that make us feel good in the morning and make us feel good about living here. They can't live without these insects. When you cut down a dead tree, which has been absorbing carbon and protecting us against global warming, when you cut down a dead tree, you release the carbon into the atmosphere, you increase global warming. When the tree follows a natural process, it decomposes and enriches the soil for new life. A dead tree serves a function that needs to be changed. I would wonder if you could reduce. The neighbors feel that this is crowded. If you could, I wonder if they would reduce the number of houses to maintain the rural atmosphere, and avoid pavement, which produces pollution runoff, which facilitates pollution runoff, and what kind of adjustments they're willing to make in the interest of preserving the rural character. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Crane. Is there someone else from the community that would like to speak? Please, sir.
Hi, I'm Joe Schultz. I live at 266 Beach Road. I live directly across from the field here. I have concerns about this development here too. Years ago when I moved here, probably 25, 30 years ago, I was always told by the person that owned it, Mr. Diorio, that this field was to remain green and never to be subdivided or houses built on it. Times change, I understand it, different owners. But, you know, it's sad to see here. And to see this field destroyed for bare minimum, bare minimum acreage here for housing here that's just going to be plopped in, it's very disappointing. The wildlife, as Mr. Crane just said, the variety of animals that are out in that field all the time, from coyotes, you may not like them, there's crows currently nesting in the conifers over there, to the deer. It would be sad. This is the community stops by every night. I have people stopping by the house looking at the wildlife out there. I do have concerns about, what they're going to do to this field when they put these houses in. Will they be regrading this whole field? Because this field ponds out at least 3 times a year. There's surface water out there for a few days at a time. The grade from the road on Beach Road is higher to the field. Are we going to be bulldozing and making driveways in? As Mr. Crane mentioned too before, I walk that road, Hines Road, every day with my dog. And it's a pleasure, with the dirt. There's not too many dirt roads around, and it's nice. I have concerns with that. When the houses are built, are the people going to be complaining now because the road is dusty and it's blowing in on their property? And the road is very straight. Is it going to turn into a race course out here with the cars?
I just, we want.
Which road is dirt, you're saying?
Hines Road.
Okay.
Okay.
Right where the curve is, where it meets Beach. It's paved for a little bit and then, I don't know, 3/4 of a mile to a mile maybe, or dirt. So I have concerns with that. I also have concerns with the septics coming in here. Water these days is a very precious commodity. We see that, with the lack of rain the last couple of years. The wetlands that are over here on Hines Road, since I've been there, the surface water it has just decreased. And the algae problem over there from everyone with their chem lawns and everything going in there, the runoff, it's allergized, if that's a word there, and the water's very, has a lot of algae growing in it. And I know it's a DEC wetland, and I have that concern for the wildlife there. It's a beautiful thing. Last night I've been hearing the coyotes, the owls out there. It's songs of the night. And with this coming in, I will miss that. And I just hope the board, you stop and think about the impact that it could have with the DEC. And eventually all this is, we all need water. There's always been talk about, the town doing some kind of a water program down there if they ever needed a well down on Hines Road, from what I remember in the past. Because I believe the other end of Cameo Farms has a big well over there to supply them with water. So I do have, a lot of concerns. And where is all the water going to run off now to?
Eutrophication. That's the
I'm sorry?
eutrophication. When the pond starts to algae over like
Okay.
crazy, that's the word you're searching for.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Joe, do you live in Ferris's
I live
old
in
house?
Ferris's old house, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, that was very eloquent, it was. You're breaking my heart, all right, because I'm a nature lover myself.
Right.
But,
Like I said, I'm here for, for everyone's reasons, and selfishly my reason too, for looking out into the field every day and enjoying what I have.
I understand.
There's nothing wrong with that, it's just an honest.
Yeah, I don't want to look into someone else's
That's the
driveway.
thing,
Yes.
you've got rights.
Mr. Crane and I were talking at the CAC meeting, and what's interesting about Mr. Crane is he looks through the eyes of animals. I never really understood advocacy before until he explained how his mind operates, and I found it extremely interesting. So with that said, our scope here is limited to this
Yes, no, I
subdivision.
understand. Yeah,
As
no.
long as you understand, but
Yeah, no, I understand.
very eloquent, and I appreciate your commentary.
Right.
And we're going to address some of those comments.
Okay, and if I might add too, the conifer grove, he's a, is it Mr. Ants? I forget, Ernie? Well, Ernie did, specify, there are apple trees over there, and there are dead trees, but someone would, my opinion, someone's just gonna go in there, kind of what maybe you were kind of leading off to, and someone's gonna just go chainsaw happy. I drive by, Greenhaven Road and Beekman Road. It's unbelievable, the damage over there.
Okay.
And little little planting trees, if they're cut down and someone doesn't build, it's never gonna replace that. It's never gonna replace the conifer grove over on Beach Road, because we all know it's gonna eventually be cut down for someone's driveway to go in there. And one more last thing. And do you know what the status of the barn on the property will be? Is it gonna still remain down on that
Where is
one
that
lot?
Where is that? Yeah.
It's on lot one.
Oh, lot
Okay,
one.
well-
Behind the main house.
Right.
We're not showing anything to be removed, that's going to stay there. As long as, I can't speak to the next one.
Yeah, no, I understand that. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there another individual in the community? Hi, ma'am. How are you? Thank you.
My name's Laura Davy. I'm on 247 Beach Road. I'm right next to the hayfields. I've been there for 30 years. The view is spectacular. I'm in Gabe Diorio's daughter's house. It was the Cameo farmhouse. And I love my property. I love where I live. I love this community. I go to Poquag Church right across the street. And I'm just concerned about the septic. Is it going to be leach fields, or is it a septic tank that has to be pumped out? Or is it leach fields? Is it big enough for each property to have leach fields?
If you'll help answer that question, because the previous gentleman was interested as well. If you could describe the septic system that you're putting in.
Yes, it's what we call a subsurface sewage disposal system. So as the sewage exits the house, it goes into a septic tank. And then from the tank, it goes into the fields themselves.
Okay.
Okay.
I know there's some systems that are just a tank, and they get pumped out as opposed to if there's not enough property,
Well,
that they would not have a leach field.
They have what we call that like holding tanks, and
Yes.
Is this an
unless
area?
there's absolutely,
Yes.
you wouldn't be able to do that for anything new, but if there's an existing situation where you have no other alternative, they do have that. But the health department, many years ago, they allowed holding tanks in very tight areas. They don't even allow it anymore, unless you're on a situation where you have no alternative.
And could you further continue the distance the wells are from the septic fields, the impact that this could or couldn't have on drinking water in the area?
Yeah, there is a separation requirement. If a well is located uphill of a septic system, you have to have a 100-foot separation. If the septic system is higher than the well, you have to have 200-foot separation. Okay? The soils, as I mentioned earlier, with the exception of Lot 2, the soils were good soils, good drainage. Lot 2 was much heavier soils, and I think we also hit some water there too, so we had to put a fill system in there. Septic tanks, septic systems do have to be maintained. You have to pump them out. I like to tell my clients every year, and hopefully they do it every 2 years. But they do have to be maintained. It doesn't, once you flush, it just doesn't go away and disappear. One thing that we're required to do, in addition to the testing for the septic systems, and someone brought up water supply, we're required for every 5 lots that we develop, we have to do at least 1 test well. Therefore, we're doing 7 lots, we have to do 2 test wells. We just recently, in meeting with the health department, we got approval to use the 2 existing wells that serve the 2 existing houses on the property. I did do some research at the health department. We did find 2 previous wells, and I think it's the 2 lots that exist on Beach Road when they were drilled. And those wells at that time, I mean, this is a number of years ago, but they were like in excess of 25 gallons a minute. So we'll see what we have, but the health department does check those things. Where we are required to do not only for quantity, but also for quality. So at the end of our test, our pump test, we will take samples, we will bring them to a laboratory, and there's quite an extensive array of testing that we have to do for quality.
Thank you. Ma'am? Please.
Sorry. I also wanted to find out, I never had a problem with water. We never went dry, our well. So I just want to know from this gentleman, with these 7 houses going in, am I going to now have problems because I'm right next door to this beautiful piece of property that's going to be developed?
It's a great question. Yeah.
Well, all I can say is when we do our testing, when we test those 2 wells, we'll be monitoring as we're pumping the wells, we'll also be monitoring the level in the well to see, does the well continually go down, or does it get to a steady state where it doesn't go down? So although we can't predict exactly, but at least it gives us an indication of if we draw water over I think it's a 4-hour sustained period, is there any effect on the adjoining well?
Is there any liability if my well goes dry within a year of this development going in, and I'm without water, all of a sudden?
Yeah. I'm gonna
Is that
have,
any liability on anybody's part, where
That's-
I don't have to now have a new well?
that's another excellent question. I'm gonna defer to Dan here.
Thanks.
Yeah, I know you appreciate the attention, Dan, but
No, I mean,
I've run into this before, so,
Yeah, no,
the Stone
there
Ridge-
is no repercussion, or anything that can be forced on the on the developer.
Do you know,
That the-
It's not a guarantee for me.
do you know how deep those wells are?
I don't know, I know I have an aquifer
That's
over
what-
there.
Yes, because I have a well not far from you,
Right.
and I did go down 500 feet, but I have over 100 gallons a minute. I mean,
I've never lost water.
yeah, we have great water if you go down.
You know, never, you know,
Yeah, I know,
There
I
are-
hear you.
never, when this goes in, I'm not, and I know development has to occur, and I have no control over that.
Neither do we.
I'm just concerned, I've been here 30 years, I never had to replace my pump. So now, you know, if
impressive,
developments go in
Yep.
and there's family of 4, family of 6, and they use a lot of water, and my well goes dry, is that an indication, indicative of this development? And now I have to foot the bill for a new well to be drilled?
Let me allow Dan, yeah.
I mean, that's, yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's no good answer for you on
Is
that,
there
other,
something could be in place for
other-
something like that in
no.
the future?
other than the fact that, you know, the well testing is required by the health department. That's their way of determining the adequacy of the water supply. Right now, there are 2 well reports that are on file for this particular lot. One is 385 feet deep, and the well driller's yield test was 57 gallons a minute. That's huge. And then there was a 410-foot deep well that had a well driller's yield test of 60 gallons a minute.
That's great.
Which is also huge. So, I mean, the aquifer here is plentiful
Right, no, I understand.
based on that, so.
But those stats are good.
Yeah, they are,
yeah.
but I just, you know, it should help the person that's been here and contributing to.
There's no guarantee.
No.
No guarantee.
No guarantee.
Just to give you an example, I have an apartment building with about 12 people in it, and they use about 600 gallons a day. And these are pumping these numbers per minute. But of course, there's no guarantees. It all depends on Mother Nature as well, and conservation and that sort of
I'm
thing.
trying to look out for us and. our
Understood,
neighborhood.
understood.
And just one more question, I promise.
Please.
Across the street was Tilly Ferris's old house. So Tilly then sold it to Liz Griffith. When she was there, Liz was telling me she goes, oh, no one can build across from Tilly's old house. There's an easement. I'm not sure if she was telling me the truth or not. I'm just wondering if there was an easement.
Could you point that out to us?
I don't have glasses on, but I can do this.
You want mine? Here, yeah, I can, all right.
I'm assuming this is my house. This lot. Here's Tilly's house, so it'd be someplace where the pine trees are. And she was saying that no one can build a certain feet in and width due to an easement.
Was that a road easement?
No, I don't remember.
She must mean the setback.
Where is it, Ernie? I can't.
Setback.
Where the pine trees are.
Dan, it looks like
Like
she's
right
referring to lot 3, 4, and that.
Okay.
And I don't know if there was any communication about that, or if Bob knows anything about that.
Well, they did the survey, so he can tell you if,
Yeah, I was gonna say
if there's
that.
an easement, but she may be referring to the setback.
Yeah, the only thing I can say is, based on the survey map that was prepared, I didn't see, there's nothing on the map here that shows any kind of easement, so.
You know what a setback is, do you know what a setback is? So a setback is, in our zoning ordinance, we limit the development of structures within a certain amount of feet from the road. That's what we call the setback. And I think in this area, it's what, 50 foot? It's on the drawing probably somewhere, but it's probably 50 foot. And she may be referring to, you can't build a house within 50 foot because it would violate the setback. So she may be.
Hey,
Maybe she was talking
Hey,
about that.
Dan,
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong. The properties change hands, correct? Poulos property?
Yeah.
Okay, so there was a title search.
Right.
So something such as what you're referring to should show up on a title search, I would think. Am I correct?
Yeah, or be on the deed, itself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's nothing on the deed that I see.
It could be on title search, you're saying.
Well, that
Well,
would be
what
part
I'm
of the
saying
deal.
is if there is something such as a right-of-way, that sort of thing, like the old cemetery that's behind,
I know.
okay, that's going to show someplace in the deed, because, correct me, but I believe the title search goes all the way back to,
Yeah, it would go back to
The title
as
search
far as it can.
is a
As far
review,
as you
it's a
can.
review of the deeds. But when they generate a survey, they look at the deeds. And if there are any indication of an easement in the deed, the surveyor would put it on the survey, assuming, we expect them to show that. That's part of our
They
requirements.
showed site easements and drainage easements that are
Yeah.
associated with some of the lots along Beach, so.
So it was surveyed, which is to say that the surveyor, if they did their due diligence and reviewed the deeds, they would have shown the easement on there, and there's no easement on there.
Okay.
See, the conundrum we have as a community here, Mr. Crane and I were talking about it last month. We're not Millbrook when it comes to taxes and that kind of money laying around, where the community can buy parcels of beautiful land like this, right, and preserve it. I moved up here because of the farmland and because of the bucolic nature of, 25 years ago. And it is beautiful. Matter of fact, it's very hard to buy a parcel of farmland right now because Dutchess County has bought a lot of it to preserve it. But the community has to realize that, there are other options, that are within your personal grasp, like buying the land, like preserving it yourselves as a community, that sort of thing. I know now that we're beyond that, but I just wanted to give you, we are all volunteers, we all live here, and we share your concerns, but we have to operate within the scope of our practice here. Yes. Excellent questions, probably the best, I'd like to give her a round of applause. That we've been confronted with, so thank you.
Your concern about the septic and everything, anything has,
I mean, I'm concerned about the wildlife,
no, but anything has to go, any new development, whether it's a single-family lot or not, has to have approval for septic and well from Dutchess County Health Department. So there's a set of checks and balances, is what I'm saying.
but the other property that's to the left to me was a 100-year-old flood zone. It went outside. So,
It's interesting.
so I'll just leave it at that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
No,
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Anybody else?
Anyone else? Please, sir.
I was trying to protect, I wasn't worried about dead trees, but that's more of a safety issue.
Sandy, Bulldog Concrete, 259 Hines Road.
I didn't catch your first name, sir.
Rich,
Nice to meet you, Rick.
I've been there 55 years.
55.
You were a baby.
Yeah. My main concern, I know there's no stopping it, is garbage. My wife picks up garbage 4 times a year now. 10 years ago, it was once a year. I'm the town's best customer for orange bags. I don't know where, I shouldn't say these people come from, and throw garbage like I've never seen. She could clean the road, and then there's a pizza box here 10 minutes later. Schvecta bottles, Bud bottles, Dunkin' Donuts. It runs the gamut of junk that we pick up. And I know that 5 more people, there'll be 20 more bags of garbage. That's the first thing. The second thing is, when these people move in, somebody should tell them that they're moving next to a concrete company that operates 24/7. So I don't have to deal with this next year defending myself like I've done 100 times in this town. I want people to know what they're buying. It's like buying next to an airport and then wanting to shut it down. You have to look around. And everybody was concerned about where the water was going. The water comes to my pond. It's all goes to my pond without a legal easement. We could get into this all night. There's no easement. I've spent $20,000. What'd you call it? The green shit? What was it?
Algae.
Nutrification.
Oh, yeah.
20 grand to get rid of it.
Nutrification, yeah.
20 grand. Of course, you can't even buy it in New York, so I gotta have it shipped to my father in Florida, then he ships it to me.
What do you have to buy?
I don't know, Floratine or something,
Oh.
something illegal,
Okay.
you know, because I'm an outlaw.
Illegal?
Illegal.
Oh, I don't wanna
I'll
hear
admit to it.
You're kidding. All right, I understand.
So that's where all the water.
I'm sorry, you talk like my father, so I didn't know whether you were kidding or not.
No, I'm not kidding. No, I never kid around. That's all.
All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
She does have a point,
Yes.
letting people know.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that
You know, is there anyone else from the public who would like to approach? Ma'am, please. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Rosemary Joyce Raddick. I live at 6 Grants Path. I'm not a public speaker, so you have
That's
to
okay.
excuse me.
Oh, this is a conversation. so
Thank you.
Please.
Here's my concern. I received a notice about this meeting late last week. I went to the post office, I had to sign for the letter. My husband, whose name is different than mine, lives in the same house, never received a notice. And some of our neighbors never received a notice, including a neighbor that lives above us at 4 Grants Path, who is under reconstruction and is building a multi-million-dollar house. It's Easter, it's Passover, and schools are out on holiday. So people that would normally be here and be part of this meeting are not available, either because they're not here to get the letter or because they've never been notified. So that's my only observation I want to share with everybody, that if this was done at a more convenient time, taking into consideration of children's vacations and religious elements, you might have a whole other group here expressing their feelings. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
If I could make a statement, Chair. I just want to state that there was no ulterior motive on the date of this. This just happened to they just happened to get to the point of needing a public hearing at this time. We chose, there wasn't a specific date. None of us even knew that it was happening right before a holiday or when school was off. But certainly if that's a concern, we could adjourn and have the meeting. We could certainly adjourn it to the next meeting.
Well, I'd
And
also
I'll
just
offer.
mention that the public always has the right to write a letter if they're not able to be here for a meeting. So
Right.
that's part of the public hearing
Yeah.
process.
Can you just explain Dan, could you explain who the mailings go out to? It goes out to each parcel. That's
500
within
feet.
500
Yeah,
feet.
the primary owner for Rosemary's lot is in her name. She's the primary owner, so that's why it went out to her name.
So the only thing we can do is to contact the parcel we don't know the particulars of who lives at that parcel. It goes to the owner of that parcel, and that's the most objective, general way of contacting the neighbors.
So you're telling my husband that he doesn't own it?
You're listed as the primary owner.
You know,
They may be finding out something.
in my house, what's mine is hers and what's hers is hers.
Yeah.
Right, so I don't
Got
know
that
everybody
right.
else's, but that's, great questions. And we can help with some of these, not all of them, and we're going to do our best. You know, in these, with these decisions, very rarely is everybody happy. The town, the board, or the constituents themselves, the homeowners. We try to find the happy medium as best we can. So is there anyone else in the community that would like to speak? Please. Yeah, we need you to get in front of the mic, please.
I was just talking to Bob last Sunday at church, and he had said he's allowed to cut the hay fields again this year. And I'm just wondering when construction's going to start then, after he cuts the hay fields.
Thank you for that. Yeah, please. I mean, I can help you with that. There is a process after this that will go on for some time. He has a lot to do, so, but I'll let you
I can't,
approximate.
I can't say for certainty, but,
Yeah.
As the chairman said, there's still a process we have to go through. We have to achieve preliminary approval, and then we have to get final approval. And then after that's done, all that has to be filed in the county clerk's office. And then at that point, the owner, if he chooses, and probably will, could start marketing the property. So, I mean, to be optimistic, maybe by the end of this year, maybe there'll be one house under construction, maybe two. I can't say with any certainty.
See, part of the reason why we have this is to get your input about this project. And there will be a lot of decisions that will be made by us that include your input. All right? Thank you, ma'am. And also, if everyone who did speak tonight, please make sure your names are on that list over there, your names and addresses, so Aletha can put your names and your comments in the minutes for future record. All right. Yes, sir. Please.
I guess it's, Joe Schultz again, 266 Beach Road. This question is for Ernie and the board here. Is it true that there was work done on this field here with test holes and all that without permits earlier in the determination of this field? Because again, I live right across the street, and I've seen two separate accounts where all these test holes were being dug out over there.
Yeah.
And
Peter and I were actually, when we were surveying this, we saw them there ourselves, but I can't answer that question. I'm
Okay.
going to let Dan answer it.
Yeah, so our code allows applicants for subdivisions to be able to do the exploratory testing they need to do to be able to prove out that the subdivision is viable.
okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
they're completely in their right to dig test pits.
That was a good question, too.
If you can expand upon that, when the client first approached me, I said, one of the things I said, listen, I'd like to get a feel for what the soils are like out there. So we went and dug maybe a half a dozen, maybe 8 random holes. And then from that, which proved out to be pretty good, and then from that what we did is we did a schematic layout, and then as we developed this plan, then we did site-specific test holes where each system was going to be. So on 2 occasions, yes, we were out there testing, yeah. And that was the deep test holes. Then almost simultaneous with the second time, we actually did percolation tests.
Yeah. 130-10 of our town code permits it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one more last thing too. I don't know if I touched on it before. Where the road is dirt on Hines there, does the town have any thought on paving that road or leaving it as is right now? A no salt zone and just the dirt compressed with, I guess, whatever, crushed rock down there.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything from the highway superintendent or the town board that want to change that at all at this point.
Okay, that's good, because I bring this up because the road is such a straightaway there, and maybe, I'm gonna say 20 years ago, there was some kids racing and they crashed and they nearly died, and I believe that on the other end of Beach Road, the same kid was involved with a death accident up there too.
Same kid.
I believe it was, Pete.
You know who it was?
So,
Merson.
it's just the concern that I would hate to see that road get paved and
Merson?
for the dust for these houses and to turn it to a race course. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm a
Thank you.
fan of those roads
Joe,
myself.
none of the driveways are going to be on Hines Road.
True.
The driveway for whatever lot number was
Lot
that,
one.
Those are
6,
existing, yeah, they're gonna
There-
remain.
Okay,
Lot 1 and 2.
is going to be on Beach Road,
okay,
so.
right. Yeah, I mean, as I said, I've lived over there 30 years, and then, as we all know, it's just that during the summer months, it's a dust storm over there. And do the people know that when they're going to be moving in, or are they going to be complaining to the town and demanding, to put down the dust and pave, and put down macadam?
Depends whether they use it or
Yeah.
not.
It's a
Because
valid
right now,
question.
Hines Road there is being, with the old Eddie Murphy property has changed hands over there, and then we have tour buses and everything else going down there now. And it's, a lot of traffic.
Understood.
Thank you.
Sign of the time, unfortunately. But as I said, there are ways to mitigate that. Mr. Crane has to take care of that personally. I'll help him. So,
I think it would be appropriate, given Passover and Easter, that we hold this public hearing open until the end of the next meeting, just to give people a chance to come in and talk to us.
I completely agree.
So I'll make that motion.
Mrs. Greto, yes. Anyone else like to second that?
I'll second that motion.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
So you should adjourn it to a specific
Oh,
date then.
I'll move to adjourn the meeting to...
May 15th.
May 15th, 2025.
So that will allow you to get the word out, and, but we still have more to talk about. You don't
We
have
need
to
to second
feel as
that
though you need to
photo?
leave right now, unless you want to.
We need to second and vote on that, or, because we changed it, or?
Do you want us to
You
vote
should,
again?
just to-
All right,
just
I'll second that.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Because we
Adjourn it.
specified the
We
date,
adjourn,
and we
instead
neglected to do
of saying keep it open.
that
Right,
initially.
we adjourn it.
That's
Okay.
properly.
Coach Sandy has a very good point.
Yeah.
And I don't know
Which
what
point,
we can
which
do
point
on
was
our
The
part,
cement and
The
the
cement.
rest.
but,
Yeah.
Which one? Which point?
The cement.
somehow if we can,
I don't know that we can do that. It's up
You
to
know,
them.
Pete, I was thinking about that as well.
It's
I
up to
almost
them.
bought a piece of property down in the Superfund site, down in Shenandoah
But you
off
did-
Hook Cross Road.
You did your due diligence.
I did my
That's
due
what has to
diligence,
happen.
and I figured it out. Unfortunately, realtors are not required to disclose anything like that. And they're looking to, just sell quickly and collect their commission. Not that I'm speaking badly about realtors, but that's their focus. And it's not within our scope, unfortunately.
nothing can be put on a plaque concerning that.
I mean,
That's
every individual, we
It would
had,
be dated if he sold the concrete
Yeah.
yard and turned it out. I mean, you could put on a plat to say that the adjoining
do that. It's
parcel is commercial or something. I don't even think it's
It's
commercial.
not commercial. It's like saying there's a prison in your backyard.
exactly.
If you don't go do your due diligence,
Right.
the lights come on at 9 o'clock.
We were highly vilified because somebody bought a home and there was a trail behind
Right,
that
oh,
property.
God, yes.
And that project was approved over 15 years ago, Clear as day on the plat. So it's just, that's up to the buyer, unfortunately. Some people get caught off guard and buy something that is next to something that they're just not thrilled with, but they need to do their due diligence regarding that. Now, I'd like to
Because
talk
if-
about some things that should be addressed before the next hearing, all right? And hopefully you can have these items prepared on the plans for the constituents when they come, for the residents when they come back who had these concerns. Let's just address one gentleman's question of density. If you could talk about the density on this property and whether or not it is within our code and within your right to have that many homes on that parcel of property.
I'll be glad to, and actually I wanted to just to kind of weigh in after the comments, but
Thank you.
it's a 21 acre parcel. The zoning is R45, which is like an acre per lot. When I first met with the client, and for what it's worth, and it's not going to stop the development, but for what it's worth, he was not looking to get every single lot out of this as possible. How many more lots we could get, I'm not sure. But as it was mentioned and brought out here, off of Hines Road is still going to appear as Hines Road appears now. There's no new driveways. I'm sure if you look at that larger parcel there, you know, you might be able to put another 1 or 2 lots there. I don't know. If you look up on Beach Road, purposely, I made those lots a little bigger. You probably could even squeeze another lot in there. I mean, you'd be pushing the envelope, but you could do it. I think his concern was the main house, I want it on a large parcel. I want to maintain that view out to the meadow where he looks, the meadow that's hayed, plus into the wetland area. He says, I want that to stay.
Could you talk about that, the buffers that you'll be keeping from the wetlands and the streams, and the impact that you're going to have on that field? If you could.
Yeah, as far as the wetland is concerned, you have a New York State DEC wetland. That is, which is regulated by the state. And then in addition to that, you have what's called a 100-foot adjacent area or a buffer. We are not impinging on any of the wetland or buffer. If we did, we had to get a permit from DEC. So again, by trying to minimize, try not to develop it as much as possible, we tried to not even get near those wetlands or buffers.
Well, yeah, just to be more specific, you're required to stay 50 feet away from the stream.
Right, which we did.
And protect it, and 100 feet away from the wetlands in the
That's
lower
right.
section of the lot.
Right.
Down here, yeah, towards the bottom.
And that area there on the southerly side of the property, which is predominantly where the wetland
And
is.
if you could trace the wetland and the stream for the public, so they see where that is. And also the field that you will not be
Yeah, you have to
building on.
Maybe bring that up a little more, a little higher, possibly. A little more, yeah?
And,
Okay.
and so the public, I'll leave some of these maps back there for you to take home, and you could look at some of these plans, sure.
So the wetland, if you look at this line right here, and you're welcome afterwards to come up and look at this map right here. This here is the wetland that was delineated by the biologist, and then it was verified by DEC. And then we're required to stay 100 feet away from that. So you have another line up here, it's a dotted line. So this whole area here is in fact protected. And what the owner wanted to do, because he comes up on weekends, not every weekend, but when he comes up, his main focus is when he looks out his front window on that, he wanted this whole area to keep open and be maintained the way it is. So we didn't even look or even consider doing any kind of development in here.
Okay. Thank you for that, appreciate it. Now, there's been a lot of talk about pavement and impervious surfaces versus pervious.
Right.
Would you consider, Rob, would you like, because I think if you could, so Rob is a landscape architect by profession, all right? And I would appreciate it if you consider talking about those surfaces and tree mitigation that hasn't been, not mitigation, but view shed mitigation by planting, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, the community's expressed concerns about impacts that we typically talk about in the seeker, impact to water, impact to the view sheds, impact to the environment. So I think we'll need to explain that in the seeker, and that starts with explaining it here. How do you intend to mitigate the impact of the loss of trees that are happening? My recommendation would be to do some tree mitigation, and maybe that could dovetail with helping to mitigate the view shed issues. Maybe we do some plantings in the areas that are viewable from the neighbors. That's just my suggestion.
Wouldn't that be a mutually a beneficial thing to do for the new owners and the residents that live,
Yeah,
you know?
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, when we first embarked on this, we located all the trees, and then we located the conifer grove. We are showing 2 trees to be taken down, and I think they're old apple trees. I'm not sure whether if they're even alive or bear fruit anymore, but nevertheless, we do show those being removed. And then more recently, as we talked earlier this evening, there's an area north of the conifer grove that's dead.
What we're recommending, right?
Okay.
So this
I
was,
mean-
this was being hayed, right?
Yeah, yes.
There wasn't a chance for any trees to grow there.
Well, the trees that did grow typically were along the road, and they're so noted on our map.
So what we're getting at is because the purpose is now changing radically, that we protect the view of your neighbors and the future owner's view of their property, and increase the beauty through planting indigenous trees, fruit trees, cedars, sycamores. Rob can go through the list.
Maybe white pines.
White
Maybe
pines.
continue the conifer grove.
And
But I think if the neighbors are complaining, and this fellow who's the owner, he wants to be considerate of his neighbors, he's developing, and he has every right to develop. But his neighbors are concerned with the view shed. They used to look at an open space. I would recommend
yes,
doing plantings to
we'd very
try to
much like to
protect
see
their,
that.
to try to protect their view.
I'm going to assume that the town, when one does a subdivision in the town where you build a new town road, I'm not sure about Beekman, Dan, you might know. Typically, sometimes there's a planting schedule in some municipalities. Does Beekman have that?
Yeah, we have street tree plantings.
Street trees.
Yeah.
So maybe, to your thought, maybe what we can do, and especially since we're taking some of those conifers down, maybe along Hines Road, maybe we could do some sort of planting like that, even though the road is existing, it's not like a new road.
Yeah.
We can call them street trees. And maybe that would be beneficial to the neighbors as well as the future owners of these lots.
Yeah, I think that would be responsive to their concerns from this meeting. There were some questions about stormwater and what that's going to do. Maybe, and I know the answer already, but you could explain that about your requirement to not increase or alter hydrology, right? That you have to prepare a stormwater plan that doesn't increase stormwater off-site, and it doesn't, I don't want to speak for you, but that was their concern. How will the development affect stormwater?
Well, the one thing that we tried to do with these lots, and
I'm sorry,
basically
I don't want to interrupt you, but ma'am, would you like a copy of the plan? Sure. Sure.
It's, public hearing's closed.
Yeah. But you know what? We're going to be open again next month.
Next month.
I think you should be aware that there is a cemetery across from this property.
Okay.
Grants Path is a private road, so anybody in the cul-de-sac or up the road is on a private road. And I was coming home one day, and there was a man there surveying on the private road, and I always tend to stop and ask people, like, what are you doing here?
Yeah,
As I know they're not neighbors.
right.
And he's got the machine out, and he said, well, I'm just surveying some stuff. And he's looking towards the cemetery. I said, well, you can't
No,
touch
nothing
this.
will
It's
happen to the
I said,
cemetery.
no, it's not.
Oh.
I said, don't you see the tombstones? They're right there.
All right, so this is worth pointing out. I mean, what I'd like you to do, all right, take this home, all right, and bring some pictures. If the cemetery is in fact here, I'd like you to draw it in and let us know next month.
It's not on that, it's
Across the
on the
street.
land across the street.
Oh, I see, okay.
And the
all right.
when,
Grants Path.
no,
Chili's?
when those houses were built and Tilly's house was modified, that cemetery was noted, and actually, when Grant's Path was put in, and Rosemary, I think when your house was built, there was a discussion about it, and it was also noted.
Okay, because
Because-
he knew nothing about this.
He
And I said
probably
to him,
wouldn't.
don't you see those tombstones?
Right,
And
right,
he was like, oh my God, there are tombstones. I said, well, yeah.
yeah,
I mean, they're tiny, but they're there,
right.
and I don't really see anything.
No, absolutely not. It's not permitted by law. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
On 850?
Yes,
Yes,
have a good
take
night.
care.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right. Did I miss anything? I took notes. I went through all of them. She just took my paper.
Yeah.
Did I miss anything? The dead trees, all right, one item. So we need to address Tony's concerns about the wires and any safety hazards. If the community and the owner of the property doesn't have a problem leaving those trees where they lie after they're cut down in that area,
You're speaking of the dead trees?
yeah. It's a habitat that concerns Mr. Crane and others in the community. It might save the developer some time and money, and they can be left there.
So you're saying maybe leave it in place?
Leave them in place if they're not causing any harm or damage.
If you look at it, the trees are further off the road, but the brush is actually starting to impinge on the road. So maybe the compromise is leave the dead trees and get rid of the brush. I mean, that's just the
I'll
thought.
defer to Rob on that. Yeah.
Or the highway superintendent.
Defer to
Yeah,
highway.
and the highway
I
superintendent,
don't know what his
definitely.
concern would be about understory brush. I mean, isn't there a visual, you'd have to explain to me what his concern is. When they mention these kinds of things, usually there's a view shed or a view angle to the driveway. that
He
they're
just felt that the
concerned
brush is right up, and some of it, it's not a lot, but some of it goes right up to the edge of the pavement.
with. Yeah, I mean, typically, the way engineers deal with that is to show a view angle diagram and eliminate any brush that's within the turning radius, within the view radius. We don't have to just wholesale remove all the vegetation. We don't have to take a heavy hand to this. We definitely want to be safe and provide a safe entrance and exit from those driveways, but that doesn't mean you remove all the brush across the whole road.
I
Well-
think we need clarification from Tony, highway superintendent.
Well, he wrote,
Right?
what I did, after our meeting, what I did is I summarized that in a memo, which I think you have on file.
Very good.
Um,
All right.
You
And
know,
I
that-
think you understand his point.
I mean,
and,
if that's his
yeah.
case, I always rely on the technical professional to demonstrate how it's safe. I don't, if you can demonstrate how it's safe, then that's it. It doesn't have, you don't have to remove all the brush.
Of course, you understand that once the person buys the lot and the house, and if they don't like the brush there or the trees
Right.
there,
They can take it
they
down.
can cut it down,
Right,
okay?
right. That's a point well taken.
So
Yep.
our concern should only be
Health
as directed by, referring to what Rob says, but directed by Highway.
Right.
And Highway has expressed a driveway concern.
So please take all of this into consideration, all right?
I don't
All
think it's
points,
going
thank you.
further than that.
Anything else to discuss tonight, Dan, about this?
No, I think there was just a concern about traffic too, but I mean, in terms of the way the seeker workbook goes through traffic, this would be not considered anything that would be of concern in terms of extra traffic because of 5 new houses.
It's a negligible impact.
Yeah.
Negligible, yeah. Anything else? Yeah. Please.
So the 7 houses are going to have 7 driveways on
Well,
each?
2 are already existing, so there's only 5 new ones going in.
She's talking about, She's talking about Beach Road.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah.
We'll have 7 driveways
5.
Two existing driveways.
on Beach
There is
Road.
two, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Oh, and Hines, so there'll be 5,
Yeah.
so there'll be 5 houses that are along Beach Road from my house to where Hines starts.
One, two, three, four.
Let's
Would
give
you
them
like
some
a
more
copy of the
plans.
map?
Yeah.
I
So-
have one.
Anybody who would like, we're going to give you our copies. This is really the best way for you to educate yourself. And then anybody else like a copy? Here, yeah, you can take,
Would you give this to Mr. Crane, please?
yeah,
Give him the whole bloody works.
I did.
So I only need 2, right?
yeah.
Joe wants one.
You know, you guys can get together at the diner and talk about it. Yeah.
John,
Yes, sir.
he addressed the planting of new trees, but I think he raised the issue of permeable.
Yes, yes. So, thank you, Mr. Crane. So what we'd like to see, all right, is you to come up with plantings of trees. We went through the list with you here. I think Rob mentioned some. Did you get all of the
We did
names
not
of
do
the
that.
trees of interest?
I did, yeah.
Okay. Now, any comments about maintaining dirt roads or gravel, item 4, that sort of thing, within the community?
We don't have
I
jurisdiction.
mean, right now, Hines Road is a dirt road.
Yes.
It's going to stay a dirt road. We're not changing that at all.
Okay.
There's nothing within our plan or application that says we're going to pave that.
Okay. And internally, even though we realize that's not within our scope, and there are other codes and regulations within our town that go the other way, what do you plan to do internally?
Internally, what our plan depicts is we show the house, we show a rectangle. We don't know the exact footprint, but we're showing something 30 by 50. And
Right.
we're showing a driveway that services that house.
And there are no roads inside
There's
this
no
plat.
internal roads.
So I think we've answered that question.
And one
Thoroughly.
final thing is we try to minimize the excavation to build these houses. So that rolling terrain you see now will still be there. We're not looking to change the grade so much that it's going to alter that.
Well, let me ask a good question. So we have in our tree law, it's forestry and tree removal law, what is it called? The buffer zone. A buffer zone from the primary structure of 60 feet. And then 10 feet from every other septic, driveway, et cetera. Give or take, a few feet. I mean, you can always reduce that if you can and slightly increase it, but that's a field decision that you'd make with our building inspector. Even though you're not going to be removing trees in these areas where the homes are going to be built, would you consider showing that buffer that is in our code and not interfere with any other areas outside of it? Dan, is that within my purview to request?
Yeah, I'm not, I'd have to review what that buffer is. I'm not sure exactly what that is.
Right. It's item 9, I forgot what page of
Yeah,
the
it was
code.
a local law, actually, that,
Yep.
There are no trees in the field.
Right.
No, there aren't, but I'm talking about areas of disturbance. So if he can confine his areas of disturbance to 60 feet from the primary home, and then 10 feet from the edges of the driveway, the septic fields, and any other area.
I can say this, that we had to calculate and show, not only on our plan, but in our EAF, the amount of total disturbance, and I think we're at 3.3 acres. That's total between driveways,
Okay.
houses, electric, it's probably underground electric into the house, the line, the well, and then the line from the well to the house. So that's the total
Ernie,
amount of disturbance.
you even
Yeah.
counted the reserve area, which isn't
Yeah.
being constructed now
Yeah.
in that, so.
Yeah. It sounds like you're doing even better than what I'm asking
Yeah.
for.
The
so-
reference is local law 2 of 2020.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, 2-0?
Local law 2 of 2020.
Oh, okay.
That speaks to the timber harvesting and tree clearing and all that, but there's two other things I'll add to this conversation. We had put notes on the plan with regard to driveway requirements. In our town, if they maintain less than 4% in the driveway, they can have gravel driveways. There'll still be a blacktop apron, but if there's any section of the driveway that's over 4%, they're supposed to be paved in their entirety.
Okay.
That's part of our town code.
yes.
So some people will have an option if they can maintain less than 4%, and if they want to have a gravel driveway, so be it for that person that's going to buy that lot. The other thing is we've asked, and Ernie has provided soil restoration techniques. So the area surrounding the house is often impacted detrimentally during construction of the house by heavy equipment, deliveries of materials and all that. So they're going to be ripping up about 12 inches and tilling it and reinvigorating that potential for infiltration around the houses. So there's areas that are required, and he's shown them on the plans too. So some of those good soils that are in this area will also just be rejuvenated by that fact, and so that'll help with some of the surface and water runoff.
I think that this is a great reveal for this project, which I didn't really understand until we talked about the numbers. Just to review them again, so you're only going to disturb slightly over 3 acres of the 20, how many acres?
21 acres.
21 acres. All right, so I just think it's important for the public to hear that. Slightly over 3 acres of 21 acres of disturbance, including the construction, process, and building, meaning the houses themselves.
And that includes, as Dan mentioned, the reserve area for the septic, which you wouldn't build now.
Right.
So that number's probably, it might just be under 3 acres.
So for the public to understand, you have your fields. The Department of Health requires an area to be designed in with a backup field that can accommodate the home in case the original field fails. Okay, so that 3+ acres of disturbance includes the reserve area of those septic fields. I'm going to make one last exception. I'm violating, certain things here, but you guys are just so pleasant that I don't have a problem. Could you approach the mic? Yes, sir.
Joe Schultz, 266 Beach Road. Just a question on what you were just talking about here. You say 21 acres, but there's only 5 houses going in, and the larger lot is staying there. So you say 3 acres of disturbance.
Mm-hmm.
So wouldn't you count maybe the 5 houses that are going in,
They're
plus
included.
with the little fraction, excluding the larger lot that's not being developed right now?
Let's, if you could take your seat.
Yes,
right?
sir.
I'll have him answer that question. Thank you.
Yeah, the 3.3 acres is the total disturbance, which primarily is the 5 lots, the 5 new lots.
Okay.
Yeah,
That means.
I mean,
go
to
ahead.
be, I think what you're getting at, to be fair, there's another 9 acres left undeveloped that is in reserve for future development. So while this project is only disturbing 3 acres, it doesn't necessarily mean we're protecting those 9 acres.
Right.
And those 9 acres can be developed in the future. Those, consisting of lot 1. I don't know if it's 9
Right.
acres or whatever, but. I mean, just to make a fair comparison.
Well, you know what, Rob? Thank you for mentioning that. I want you to consider something strongly here, all right? We'd like you to conserve the rest of that property.
You can't do that.
With a conservation easement.
Be careful when you say
primarily-
we.
Me,
You mean primarily lot one?
We should have
Me.
that
You mean
discussion.
lot one?
you're right, I apologize. So,
I don't think we can.
you know what?
We can't do that.
No? So
I
in a
mean-
subdivision, we can't,
I would love
Have
to
they-
ask them to do that, but
Yeah.
that's not,
Onerous.
that's something we normally do with a conservation subdivision.
You can ask them to do a conservation
We can ask-
subdivision, but
Yeah, and then in that case, they would,
But they're not obligated,
no? Okay.
right?
and their current layout and their current strategy that they've developed has not been a conservation subdivision. They'd have to stop the process, and redo it.
What's your thought on what we're discussing here?
I had to speak to the owner.
Okay. I always speak outside of my scope of practice sometimes.
it's,
But-
difficult to do conservation subdivision and clustering when
Uh-huh.
you're already at a 1 acre zone because of exactly what he was talking about before, separations between wells and septics, and by the time you start putting the whole puzzle together, you can't end up having half-acre lots anymore, so like, the conservation subdivision would be to be able to relax some of the zoning
Yeah,
and set it specific to this project. So
Right,
instead of a 50-foot front yard, you have a 25-foot front yard, and, but that's really easily facilitated when you have public water and sewer available. When you don't have public water and sewer available, it makes that very difficult
It's very
process
So
to
each-
make much more of an impact than,
I mean,
So-
it worked for Elena Estates. We did that there.
and they have water and sewer.
But right.
True.
But to add to that, he's not proposing to develop the whole site. And if we asked him to go to a conventional subdivision, we actually may have more lots at the end. They would be clustered in one corner, but
Understood.
there's a potential that there would even be more lots, which would have other implications. So I think, while I would love to ask him to volunteer to preserve the rest of that property,
Right.
I don't feel like it's our right to impose that on them because of that discussion we've had about people's right to develop.
Right. So what I'm missing here is that each parcel has absorbed all 21 acres. Is that right?
Each parcel has, each parcel is part of the 21 acres,
Right,
yes.
okay.
I mean, some lots, the smallest, I think there's 2 lots are about 1.2 acres.
So,
The large lot, I think, is 8 or 9 acres.
It's 9, yeah.
so with the wetlands and the stream, what is the probability of anyone subdividing their own parcel and then building on this subdivision?
You could still do it on the 9 acres,
Lot 1 would be the only one that would be.
if the owner wanted to do it. But as somebody said before,
Right.
this whole conversation all started, if you're concerned about it, then buy it yourself and protect it.
I did say that, yes. And it's always at this point that people regret not doing that.
But to answer your question, the area of the stream is protected.
Yes.
It's protected by environmental law.
Right.
So of that 9 acres, there's a good part of that that's already protected.
Because the stream goes right down the center of this property. And by default, no one is allowed to build around that stream.
Yeah.
And the wetlands in the lower section of the property.
And there's DEC wetland buffer along Hines Road that would necessitate Article 24 freshwater wetland permitting from the DEC for even a driveway cut there.
Right. I mean,
So
they,
And on top of that, because of the fact that this is having at minimum basic SWIP for stormwater, basically erosion sediment control purposes, if there was further development, we still look at that as a larger common plan of development. So we would take the disturbance associated with this subdivision into consideration if there was ever an ask on a re-subdivision of that lot.
Interesting.
Same for seeker purposes, really.
so I'm going to say something that a lot of,
You should be more
Lawyers
concerned
say.
about the land across.
it's possible, but not probable. And
Yeah.
what you need to do is study the plans that we handed you. The DEC just rewrote wetland laws. They are very restrictive, and there's a lot of water on this property. So That's all I can say at this point. We do have to move on to the other items on our agenda. I want to thank you for your time today and look forward to seeing you next month, along with other people that haven't had the opportunity to come to the public hearing. Please do communicate to your neighbors that there will be another hearing. Not many people look at the agenda or the meetings or what's on them. They won't be receiving another mailing, all right? So the onus is on you to get the word out. Thank you for coming, all right? On the agenda under discussion is Savannah Estates. This is also
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you all?
We all is fine.
So I'm here for Samana Estates. My name is Amy Patain. I'm the project planner at LRC. You're all familiar with the project located on the corner of Beekman Road and Greenhaven Road, and it's a 5-lot subdivision. We've received our preliminary subdivision approval and neg deck at the end of last year. Since we were last in front of the board, we've added the sightline easements to the plan, and we have also been able to reduce the size of the septic systems based on some additional soil testing. The applicant's attorney and our office have been coordinating with the town and the DPW on these sightline easements, as that is a condition of our approval. Our attorney has given the county's attorney those agreements this week, so we're just awaiting their review and approval. The drainage easement language has also been coordinated, and we're working through finalizing that. We have received conditional approval from the Department of Health. We've done the water quality and quantity testing, and results thus far have come back good. We are just awaiting results on some additional testing. We're also in receipt of Dan's latest comments, which seem pretty straightforward, so we're just here tonight to discuss with the board moving towards conditional approval.
Dan?
They did, because of
How come?
Any comments, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, I think the letter's pretty clear. You know, we started taking a look at it in terms of the finalization portions, which is a lot of times legal and agreements and getting some of those things satisfied, which we've been working with, and Craig has done some review of the easements. We looked into 130-25, which is our code on final, and made some comments for the plat and just some things that need to be coordinated and cleaned up, and some other things that just need to be discussed. I was suggesting some direct discussions with our office on some of the lot corner markings and things like that. So they've been very responsive to what we've been asking for along the whole way, so.
Yeah. Board members, anything?
Not at this time.
So I've never heard of a site distance easement. Is that common practice?
Yeah, we actually, believe it or not, we had one on Elena, was a recent one that we had here, and it's really, you know, in terms of this, it's because Beekman Road is turning to the left as I guess you'd be traveling west in that area. And so between that and the driveway cuts, the Department of Public Works, who regulates the driveway cuts on this, because it's a county road, they asked for some site easements where that area will just remain clear. You just can't put trees, can't put large fences, stone walls, things like that, to obstruct the site distance. So the travelers and the people from the driveways will be having a better line of sight as they're entering and exiting the driveways.
And who recommended that? The county, you said?
County did, yep.
Okay. Interesting.
Is that the area that Mr. LePaine tried to protect at one point?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
No? That was different.
No, they're talking about that spot right
Oh,
there.
all right. You were over on the corner.
It's along Beekman Road.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Thank you, sorry.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you.
Mine was only informational. I just wanted to understand what they were doing. That was a good explanation, Dan. Thank you.
Sure. Any other comments or questions from the board?
Not tonight.
Okay. So at this point, may I have a motion to grant?
Well, we can, what we had mentioned in here was to, you can authorize us to draft a resolution of conditional approval, and then that'll give them a chance to maybe knock some of these comments off also by the next submittal, and
So the
we can
motion
have
is,
that ready for the next meeting if
is
you want.
draft a resolution of conditional subdivision approval,
I'll make that motion.
okay, for future consideration. Yeah. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, have a good night.
You too.
All right, so there's that. Selka accessory apartment on 39 Indian Pass.
Hello, good evening. I'm Alex Alamo. This is Joe DeMarco. We work for Whalen Architecture. So this should be pretty simple. So we're introducing this project to you. It's basically making an accessory apartment. It's in a raised ranch house. The renovations were done by the previous owner. We have a new owner of the property who wants to make an accessory apartment. Is basically the scheme of things. Dan, we received your letter with all your comments. We're happy to discuss that. I don't know where to start or go with this, but.
Do you want to just explain where the apartment, just show us on the drawing how that would work? Where the apartment is, where the primary residence is?
Yeah, so you have the picture? Do I have it? So it's a raised ranch house, if you can imagine that. There's an upper floor, which is the lower plan there. It's kind of, to me, I mean, my parents lived in a raised ranch. This one's a little different. The stairs are off to the right a little bit. Kitchen is right to the back of the stairs, so that level is staying the same. I think the issue is going to come to, there's existing, the raised ranch was a 3-bedroom house. They did this renovation, if you look at the basement plan. So there's a garage bay on the right side, and then you have there's a bathroom, there's a kitchen, which is on the CO, it's called a wet bar, a living room where the door, that would be the access to the apartment, to the rear of the building. And then it's called a bedroom on here. On the CO, it's technically an office, and then another office adjacent to it is the layout of the downstairs, which is pretty much going to be the proposed apartment. So the trick is, the house has a CO, a septic design for a 3-bedroom. What we're considering, obviously we don't want to enlarge the septic system. The owners are okay with, basically one comment from Dan is the proposed layout right now, it exceeds the town's zoning code for accessory apartments. So our idea moving forward would be close off the office with that little notch in it, close that off to the stairwell. That would basically be for the primary, the owner's use and not part of the accessory apartment. So that gets it down to about 750 square feet for the apartment. So we're figuring that's probably the best way to proceed with this. And then we have a 1-bedroom apartment which complies with the code. But we would have to make one of the bedrooms upstairs designated as an office. instead of a bedroom, and that would have to be, written into the deed or however it's done.
That's kind of disingenuous. I think so.
Well, you just received this comment letter?
Yeah,
So my recommendation is for you to address each item on
yeah.
the letter that Dan has submitted to you. And
Just put the closet up.
that would be the best use of your and our time, but I'm sure my other members may have some comments before we move on.
Sure. Another issue, just to air the issues now, we know we're not resolving this today, but there is, do you have the picture? The photo of the property? Yeah, sure. So, the other thing Dan brought up was there's an existing greenhouse in the front of the property. We have a picture here, you can kind of see it.
You can bring it closer.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the greenhouse is, it was pre-existing. The current owners may want to keep it. It's violating the zoning code as, basically, there's a few items it's probably violating. But, that's in the front of the property, so, if they're going to keep it, we would probably have to apply for a variance to keep it, and, this probably isn't going forward without that being taken care of either with a variance, then that would kick into zoning, right? And, or remove it would be the second option that we're considering,
So
right?
it looks like a nice greenhouse, but that's not within our purview. Yeah, that's between you and the building department, right?
I mean, how do you?
It's not compliant right now, yeah.
Right, yeah.
So why you're saying it qualifies as an accessory structure?
Well, it's a
Yeah, it's over 120 square feet, so technically it's an accessory structure.
But you could have temporary greenhouse, it can't be considered a temporary greenhouse?
Structures or anything affixed to the ground, basically, so the definition is not very,
Well, if it has a floor?
I just went 9 rounds with our county with this.
yeah, I'm just going by what our definition is.
If you
so-
read the temporary, the town's definition?
Yeah, for structure.
If you read the New York State Code definition for temporary greenhouses, you can have a non-continuous concrete pier. I don't know if that's what it's built on, but
They can solicit that type of information to our building inspector for a determination.
yeah,
That could be the best way to,
yeah.
Might be an easier way for you to address that.
Right. Yeah,
Do you need Rob to repeat anything he said?
I would look up temporary greenhouses in the New York State Building Code and see if this qualifies as that.
okay, so if we
I don't
could,
want to challenge our own code enforcement inspector, if maybe they've already done this and they've determined that it doesn't, but I know that sometimes these get over-regulated, and if it's considered a temporary greenhouse, it doesn't have to be subject to code enforcement.
So you can bring all of the information that you can put together and make an appointment, have a conversation with her, but we're not in any way overriding any decision
I'm not,
that she's made or is going to make.
yeah, no, she has not made a decision as far as I know. I don't think she was asked either, so.
I have one thing to discuss, and it has to do with the 2 offices. I mean, it's a little disingenuous to say that these are office and not bedrooms. I hate to say that. Because what do we have up, downstairs we have 1 bedroom, plus an office that is equal in size to a bedroom. And then upstairs, you have, how many bedrooms in an office? 2? Or 1?
there's really 3 bedrooms in the ranch house.
And the reason being, you don't want to have to address the septic because you're adding additional bedrooms.
Well, the situation is these owners bought this from, they bought the house with the finished basement. So, they have the finished basement, they want to turn it into an accessory apartment.
I have no problem with
So I
that.
understand unfortunately, the CO that the town building department approved the downstairs as 2 offices. So we're using what we have here. We're not making an addition or
Okay.
anything.
But you're eliminating a bedroom upstairs.
Right, and Dan had a comment to that effect that there is some way to do that.
Yeah, I had kind of just even suggested maybe a self-imposed deed restriction or something to the effect that, you know, can't have more than 3 bedrooms
Okay,
without health department approval
okay.
or, you know,
that's fine.
something to that effect, just because, you know, it's,
But nobody's gonna go in and see
what,
if somebody's
what they're
sleeping in
doing
that
is,
room.
they're basically removing the closets.
I know,
Yeah.
I know what
So,
they're doing.
you know, yeah.
We went through that on Brothers Road.
Yeah, and so as long as they have this as a special use permit for an accessory apartment, our code every 3 years has the building inspector supposed to go through
The accessory, but
house
not the
to check
house.
it.
The whole house or just the accessory?
Well, no, she has the right to check the
Okay,
entire
all
house
right.
for that because it is all,
Attached.
yeah, they're attached to each other.
The law,
so,
yeah.
So move the bed out, he's coming.
Well, I mean,
I know,
could somebody
it's
do
okay.
that? Yeah, you know, that's.
I know.
Well, what about Mrs.
We can't
Garrido's
stop
concern?
people from breaking the rules. But
Is that what it boils down to?
all we can do is just do the best to, you know, provide.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to make that statement.
Does the owner have to, I think, is one of the rules for an accessory apartment, the owner has to live in the primary residence?
Yes, or the accessory.
And they have to apply for the special use
Every year.
year after year.
Every 3 years.
Every 3 years.
Every 3 years are subject to renewal. It's an administrative renewal, though. It doesn't come back before us unless there's a new owner. Then the new owner has to actually come back to us.
I'd be curious if an additional person or two lived in this house, is the well and the septic capable of servicing?
Well, that's the question.
Well,
Because that's
one
what
of
Mrs.
our,
Garrido
that's-
it pointed to. I think that's the biggest health concern we have.
right. Yeah, understood. So, you know, we could definitely,
If you
know,
could-
test the septic,
Please.
test the well.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, we had mentioned something in there about that, but, you know, you should definitely check with the health department. They might have records on what was built and what it was approved for. Otherwise, there's supposed to be a professional engineer
Yeah, I believe
attest to
when
the
they did the
adequacy.
CO for the finished basement, I think that's back in 2020 or 2021, there was a septic report, you know, from the
Yeah.
last 5 years.
Yeah, just submit that and
Yeah.
see where it's at.
Yep.
And this due diligence would be beneficial to the owner of the property as well, and the neighbors, so, yeah.
Okay, so the process from here on, we could respond to Dan?
Yeah, and I have an issue with the base mapping to some extent. You know, I'd like to see real boundary and topographic surveys.
Yeah, we do have, we dug through some we do have the rest of the survey by a licensed surveyor. It's
Okay.
from, like 86 or something.
And that showed the house footprint.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have the house footprint, we have the meets and bounds, there's, I think even the pole barn in the back is shown on there. And
Okay.
then, you know, in regards to, you know, there was some other things, but the only exterior work, maybe, you know, adding a egress window or something like that, but otherwise there's no, you know, unless they take down the greenhouse, but,
Well, the parking.
the parking.
Parking is a bit of an issue
So if you
right
could
now,
look
too.
at the image, again, that was floating around, there is an existing, all right, so there's a pole barn in the back of the property. There's a large gravel driveway. It's not shown too correctly
yeah.
on the site plan, but, you know, should be sufficient parking between the pole
So
barn.
where the parking is shown on the site plan,
It's
then
not-
does that block access to the rear garage then?
The garage is access through the front. The rear pole barn's square in the back there, so like, you know,
Yes,
it's not, that plan isn't accurate, you know.
Yes,
it's
so
kind of-
that's
yeah.
part of my
Yeah, we would
issue with
update
base
that.
mapping, yeah.
There was some comments to like showing topography and, you know, erosion control, but, you know, we're not doing any exterior work. So, you know, it's kind of unnecessary in our minds.
Well, you'll have to demonstrate how those cars park there.
Yeah, better than.
If there's improvements necessary as a result of that for turnaround areas or whatever else, so they don't have to back out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and I think they'll have to demonstrate how they're going to access to the apartment.
Yeah, that's
That'll
another
be-
comment. Yeah, we'll
yeah.
have to show the entrance on the site plan and the sidewalk.
Was that a
that's
covered
there.
deck? What was that in the back?
There is a deck. I do believe the access is under the deck. Joe, do you know? Or is it the side of it?
I think it's right next to the deck in the back.
I mean, the door to that you're showing on your plan is underneath the deck, according to the way you're showing the, actually, maybe
It may not be.
maybe a
It's
little bit to the
close.
left of the
Yeah,
deck. So
it's
are they,
close.
do they walk from the gravel area under the deck to the door, or do they walk around the deck? How's
Right,
that
we'd have
gonna
to show
work? You'll have to
the
show us
access
that.
path,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's all.
Yeah.
Now the volume thing is, you can't have more than 25%, or the volume of the house, or?
For the accessory apartment?
Yeah.
Or, it's 35%.
It is 35%?
Yeah.
So if they remove that room out of what they call the office, and they
Right.
reorient it, then they meet that guideline?
That, yeah, because they were at 37.8 now, so then that would put them under the 800,
You got us to about
which is
30%.
one component, and then under the 35% as well. So that could even just be owner storage, or,
Yeah.
we've seen it where these accessory apartments where we've had some configurations of some areas that are locked and only available to the main part of the house, let's say.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good idea to have accessory apartments. We have a housing shortage, we have a hard time for our younger folks, our kids who are aging out, need a place to live, and
Mom and dad.
these are good solutions, because requiring the homeowner to remain in the house is, now it's not really what you would call like a multi-unit house, it's more of an apartment in someone's house.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a good, my opinion is it's a good idea, and I'm supportive of your, the application, but you need to demonstrate how it meets our code, that's all.
Absolutely. So,
Good.
all right, so moving forward, we'll address Dan's comments there. Obviously, we're gonna revise the plans and everything. And then, I guess, we have to schedule another, planning board?
You have to have a public hearing at some point,
Yes.
right?
It has
It's
to
a
go to
special use
public
permit?
hearing.
Yeah, your process now is to address all of Dan's comments entirely. If you have questions, you'll need to make an appointment with him.
And then if it gets kicked, say we do keep the greenhouse, and it's not a temporary greenhouse, and we have to get a variance for it.
That's,
We-
that's something you'll talk to Jessica about.
Right, she'll have to
Well, I
refer
mean-
you to the
Yeah, she-
zoning
So
board.
yeah, you guys
She
don't
would
refer to
she
zoning?
would make a written determination, and then,
Right,
because the planning board, it's technically a type 2 action, so it's not a coordinated review, so, the zoning board could review it and give you a permit before you come back to this board, or,
Okay,
It could-
it's not
it could bounce back and
interlocked
forth.
between you, it's two separate
right.
processes. Okay,
Right.
understood, thank you.
The building inspector and code enforcement officer is Jessica.
Okay,
and the only thing that this board could do this evening is, if you wanted to, you could deem the action type 2 in accordance with part 617.5 C11.
I'll leave that up to the board.
Doesn't,
I'll make a motion to declare the action a type 2 action.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
okay.
All right.
excellent, thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
All right, Grape Hollow East. Yeah, and you know what, and if we could just take a quick break, please?
I think all of us need to.
Yeah. So,
Great Hollow East?
Grape Hollow East.
Good
Hi.
evening, everyone. John, DC Engineering. I was asked to come in and give you all a status update. As far as I know, we've submitted everything to Dan's office A month or two ago now for the stormwater.
Could you get a little closer? I
Sorry.
can't hear you.
There we go.
Thank you.
How's that better?
No, yeah,
Short people were here.
I'm in my 60s. I'm going to need hearing aids soon.
It's all good. Yeah, was that to come before you guys just to give you a status update? We submitted all the stormwater stuff to Dan's office a month or two ago, and
Not all, and probably not that long ago, but yeah. right,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was before the
So-
last meeting, I think.
So I think, frankly, the number of extensions, I mean, we're getting a little tired of waiting.
Right, we're waiting
Okay.
too.
So, we don't have a SWIP for the one lot with the existing house.
That was
He asked
initially
he asked you to coordinate all the SWIPs. One of them was somewhat addressed, and he has a letter for that. The other was not addressed with the same things, and then the other one isn't even available. So, you know, I don't know if we need to have a meeting or what, but, I mean,
I
the
definitely
excessive
recommend one.
I'm
passage of
sorry,
time,
yeah, I just can't hear Dan.
the excessive passage of time makes it more difficult for us to have to continue to review it at this
Sure.
point. So,
Sure.
we, you know, it's either, or get off the pot type
Yep.
thing.
Set up a date.
That's
I'll be
kind of
there.
where I'm at. I'm sorry to say it, but it's been a long day, so I'm a little ornery at this point, but I'm really frustrated at this point.
And you're patient, so I don't think you have to apologize. So what is the holdup at this point, specifically?
We
'Cause I
submitted
I didn't get to hear.
Yeah, we submitted the SWIPs
Uh-huh.
a month or two ago, as I said before.
Not
and,
entirely, though.
No, they were in. They were both into Eric. We emailed him, he asked for an email, and we sent him an email. So, we've just been sitting waiting to hear back.
From who?
From Dan's office on the status of a review letter or anything. But I haven't seen one yet, so
So I
that's where I'm
think
waiting.
might be a miscommunication here.
No, I don't think there's much of a miscommunication now.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
But yeah, no, if you want to set up a meeting,
But you're
I'll be
saying
there.
what he submitted isn't complete, basically.
Eric has a review. He'll probably end up just sending it tomorrow, but I think we wanted to see. But he told me today that it's missing, one of the lots is completely missing.
Let's talk about that. Lot 1 was done in advance of the Lot 2 and 3, because Lot 1 was the existing lot.
Yeah.
And that was a simple SWIP of sediment erosion control that was done
No, it's
a
not.
year ago?
No, it's not.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I don't want to call it sediment
It's
erosion
got stormwater
control.
components to it.
Right. It was done,
And that
though,
needs to be updated.
previous to the other two, and I never saw a comment letter on that lot. So,
He asked, when he got one of the SWIPs for one of the three, then he said, these are comments, this needs to be done for all three.
No, not for Lot 1. But anyways, let's just set up a meeting. We'll talk about it
That's
directly.
fine,
I want
yeah,
to get in one room and hash this thing out, because
Sounds
I'm
like
super
I mean, out
looking
of
at that.
curiosity.
Yeah, it just
right?
seems like every
Doesn't-
time there's an extension due, all of a sudden you give us some information, so it's just.
Why
tired
would,
of it.
as an applicant, would you sit on this so long and not follow up with Dan? Why does Dan chasing you?
Well, that's not exactly true.
Well, I'm
we've
just,
had- yeah,
how
it's
many
gotten-
how many years have we been working on this? Just,
Long before I got there.
yeah,
But
right,
long enough with me.
because, it's still on the agenda, and it's still on his desk, and
Right.
it's still not moved along. Is there no interest
I think
on your
the
clients?
biggest holdup was just the concept of stormwater. It's, I don't know if this is the right spot to talk about it, but it just seemed above and beyond what should be required for 3 individual lots that had no common plan of development. Simple stormwater plans were done a couple of years ago, but here we are now trying to prepare full SWIPs for those 3 lots.
Are those our rules, or is that?
It was an interpretation
is
of
that
the
the
DEC.
state?
We went
Yeah.
back and forth with the DEC. One conversation we had was in favor of our rule, one conversation they had was in favor of their take on it, so we begrudgingly went along and prepared full stormwater plans
So
for
you're
those lots.
penalizing yourself because of a state's regulation?
I
or
wouldn't,
no?
I wouldn't say so. I mean, I look at other subdivisions
All
or,
right, disregard that, you don't have to answer that.
Okay.
All right, yeah.
Well, I
anyways,
mean, at the end of the day, we're the MS4. We're reviewing for compliance with New York State regs.
Sure.
And so if we authorized Dan to review it as our MS4 engineer.
Right,
And
and
if that's what
understood.
he said. But it sounds like you're doing it now anyway.
No, it's been
So we
done.
don't need to relitigate.
No, yeah.
whether- I hear what you're saying. You may disagree with it, but you're still
We did
doing
it.
it
We did it.
anyway. So we just need to get on the same page. It sounds like a meeting with the engineer to
Yeah, I would
clear up.
love and openly welcome that, just to get this thing done with. I think the resubmission we did for Eric on those lots addressed all of his concerns, I'm assuming, I don't know, because I never got the response letter yet, but, if they're not addressed, then we will address them.
Okay.
And see it through to get it finished.
It was already granted last month, so.
What are we doing?
Dan, can you set up a meeting and then have this resolved before our next
Well, I think you
planning
should
board
send an
meeting?
email to Dan and asking him what dates he's available.
Okay.
All right?
That's not a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that
The extension was
fair to
granted
you?
last
Yeah.
month, I'm looking it up.
He's gonna send an email to Dan requesting when he's available to meet with him. So what are we here to do tonight? Dan, anything?
Now, at the March meeting, it was an extension granted till June 26, 2025,
Okay,
which is the June meeting.
the June meeting,
Yeah.
all right.
So the bottom line would be to have everything completed and in place for
That meeting.
approvals or whatever,
June.
no later than that January meeting.
We'd
correct?
rather not,
June, yeah.
we'd rather not talk
June
about an
meeting.
extension at that point.
Neither would I.
Thank you. We're on the same page.
Yes.
Maybe we could have led with that, huh? All right, so,
I'll send
We're
an email
good
tomorrow
now.
morning.
all right, so the ball's in your court,
Yeah.
okay?
No
He's a
problem.
one-man show. He's here on Thursdays, and
Okay.
thank you for your time.
No, I appreciate your time,
I
everybody.
hope you have a good weekend. Thank you.
Take care. Happy Easter.
Thanks, John.
Yes.
Are we done?
We have Town Center Grove to talk about here, extensions for Town Center Grove, and that is our last one, except for the 5 on the other side of the agenda.
Oh, boy.
I'm only kidding, Pete.
This is good.
He doesn't think that's funny.
No, he didn't.
Your jokes are not that
didn't.
funny. They're not as funny as you think they are.
This is getting a long night.
Heard that a lot of times.
Where's Town Center Grove?
By the
It's,
rec.
so I
By
got
the
you
rec.
too.
The new
turned
rec
it over?
by the library.
No, I knew your joke. I was going along with it.
So I'll
All
just
right,
give,
let's go, guys.
Go ahead.
the engineer had some conflicts today, so he couldn't be here. So, but he did provide us with some correspondence between himself and the health department.
Okay.
So the way it works is that we granted a preliminary site plan approval for this project, and then they have 6 months to submit for final,
Okay.
which is, you know, it could have just been that they could have submitted, but then we wouldn't have the health department approval or anything like that. They want to get the health department approval set up. So they're just asking for some more time on that before they submit for final for us.
Okay.
So it
I
seems
think
pretty
this is the
reasonable.
one across from the soccer, over
Yeah,
by the
yeah.
soccer
Yeah,
field.
yeah, it's
yeah.
one of the
Yeah.
Town Center
Yep.
Boulevard parcels, yep.
Remember that one?
The middle one, the second
Yep.
one.
Yeah.
Yep.
You went from
It's down to one building, right?
4 part-
Yeah, down to 2.
How many
I,
apartments?
can I
They-
make a motion to, what are we doing?
Yes.
Yeah.
For an extension,
For an extension.
90-day extension.
90-day extension for
What is the date?
90 days.
For the expanding.
May,
Yeah, I mean, we could,
July, August,
I could go to the,
August. Whatever. May, June, July.
I can look at the,
No,
I-
July, yeah.
could go to the July 17 meeting.
Okay, to the July
So-
17th meeting, 2025. I can't believe I'm saying that.
I'll second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Happy Easter.
I'll
Happy
move to
Easter.
adjourn.
Yes.
I gotta go home, I'm so tired.
Okay, can I have a motion to close the meeting?
Peter did it.
I did.
A second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye. I say, you're gonna do this, baby.
Thank you. Thank you, Pete.
You get too many, you
Happy
can't
Easter
do
to you.
too many